Welcome back. This is the Sheshakti Suraksha Survey. All of the research we're bringing you is brought to you by PValue Analytics. Let's take you deeper into the survey. We were talking before the break about transport, about neighborhoods. Now let's go to where you're probably headed after this. Education and work spaces. How safe do women feel in each of these? First, let's go over to education spaces. So we asked women across the country. Remember, this is a sample size of around 8,000 women across 20 states, 20 cities. How safe do you feel in your educational institute? 87% said they feel safe, 11% said neutral, and 2% highly unsafe. So that's a very, very high number that are saying we do feel safe in our educational institutes. Then we asked them, will action be taken if you report safety concerns? So if something's happened to you and you want to go over to a higher authority and say something's happened, do you think that action will follow that complaint? 78% were very, very confident that it would. 17%, as you can see on your screens, were neutral about it. And 5% were not confident that any action would be taken right after everything took place. Let's go over to Dr. Kiran Bedi. She remains with us to provide her expertise on this entire story. Let's just go over to her to understand more. Dr. Bedi, high numbers coming in from people who have faith in educational institutes. And we'll just come to you in a second to ask you about that. But before that, if we could ask you, because we were talking about public transport earlier, and there the numbers were not as pretty as they are in educational institutes. Do you link this question with Indian civic sense? Over the last few decades, how high have you found Indian civic sense to be? So if we see something taking place next to us with a stranger, how likely are we to intervene if it's harassment of some kind?
I think as far as public safety, public transportation is concerned, or public safety is concerned, it's linked with the time of the day.
Nighttime.
It's time of the day, yeah. Whereas in education institutions, you're not there.
Likely, right.
You're done. You're back home by afternoon and during broad daylight. Whereas in public transport, you're vulnerable in the wee hours of the morning or at night. And it's sometimes isolated roads, not well lit and vulnerable. So I think that's the reason for vulnerability is the public space and the time of the day. That basically means well lit roads, well patrolled roads. Even well-patrolled roads, presence of the police matters a lot at that time. Night watchmen, if they are around, even if they're civilians or the civil defense or the home guards, if they are also oriented to watch. You see, you have police presence, you have private security present also. You have civil defense, you have home guards. There is a mass security presence today on the roads because of the security build-up. Whether it's private security or it's policing. So I think the private security must also feel responsible on what's happening on the road around them. And not feel, my responsibility is only for this office or my responsibility is only for this home. No, if they also get co-opted mentally, then you will see increase of eyes and ears on the ground.
Right.
Eyes, ears and feet. Feet are there, but is the eyes, the ears and the mind also there? If you co-opt them, then I think you will see a greater increase in the later hours of the night also.
Okay. Dr. Bedi, you've made this point and you were making it earlier too with Neighborhood Watch, the importance of making us all feel like we are responsible. Dr. Bedi, thank you for joining us today. Now, we're just going to take our audiences to the two other experts we have joining us here on the show to provide us with context. We're joined by Rita Kapoor. She's the director of Gyanshri. And we're also, remember, joined by Dr. Seema Tiwari. She's an expert who's joining us from PValue Analytics to provide us with deeper insight into this information. Rita, ma'am, I'm coming over to you right now first because we're obviously talking about educational institutions. The numbers are very positive. Women seem confident that in educational institutions, young college-going girls, they are safe. But I do want to ask you, Ms. Kapoor, we do hear still of the stray incident, but these are incidents highlighted by national media, wherein you have, incidents of abuse sometimes, harassment sometimes taking place with younger children in particular, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and, sometimes parents only come to know much, much later. What can be put in place in terms of infrastructure when you're talking about children that young?
I think this is a problem which is still persisting despite the fact that so much has happened and so much has been done by the government and the policies have been put in place. The schools are doing their best, the cameras, the technology, everything put together. There are there are measures being taken. In fact, there are, the child protection against sexual harassment policies are there, the law is there, and most of good schools, I would say most of the schools, they are implementing this also. But I think one point where we falter probably is what Mrs. Bedi mentioned, that analysis of technology sometimes doesn't happen, We just feel that, okay, the cameras are there, they'll take care. The camera will not take care of anything unless you chase it, follow it, or you, get into action, see what is happening or what is likely to happen. So these are the things where we falter. Otherwise, sporadic incidents do happen. They've been happening in the past also. To my mind, schools are very alert. A lot has happened and a lot is being done. More and more schools are getting aware of, or they're becoming sensitive about this issue. And small children are definitely being taken care of. But as I said, despite everything, the problem happens because of not analyzing things.